Welcome back to episode 33 of the Snatch Chat Podcast. You're joined with me, Coach Oates. We're going to run through a bunch of questions that are going to improve or hopefully help you improve the technique of the Olympic lifts, whether that's strength, technique, programming, mindset, etc., etc. I'm going to hopefully answer some questions from like-minded people that are everyday lifters with a shit ton of stuff going on. They're probably a lot like you with the same questions that you have. I'm going to answer them. Hopefully you've got something that you can take away from this that is going to improve the way that you train. So let's get ourselves started. First question. I've been told as an Olympic lifter, my front squat should be 125 to 130% of my clean. Mine is nowhere near that ratio. Does that mean I'm just weak, or is my clean technique actually the problem? You know what? I think sometimes people can get so hung up on ratios, and for you to snatch this, you need to overhead squat this, and etc., etc., etc. And it becomes, it just becomes a lot. Now, I don't even know what mine is, but if I look at my front squat, so my clean is 145 times 1 times. Yeah, so I clean 185. No, I clean 145 kilos. I wish I cleaned 185. It's telling me my front squat is 100, or my front squat should be 180. My front squat's nowhere near 180. My front squat is 160. I would always say that as a general rule of thumb, you want to be able to squat more than you can clean. If they're very similar, the limiting factor is going to be the strength for you to stand up out of a clean. I don't think we need to look at 125%, 130% and go, that's what we've got to aim for. Firstly, just get front squatting 10% more than you can clean. So when we take a look at this, so my 14 kilo, so add 145. So yeah, okay, that makes more sense, doesn't it? So I've just said 10% more on your front squat than you can clean. If I did that, that would mean that my front squat is 160 and my clean is 145. That's basically where I am. Potentially I've done a 165. You know, on a good day I probably could go 165, 170, but get yourself 10% more first. And then hopefully, you know, as your strength builds, you might decide that you want to build more leg strength, but there's no real point. I think 10% is plenty, okay? Just don't get hung up on ratios like that. I think it's just becomes pretty shit. And then you get so hung up on it, you become unmotivated. You then start to think, oh, it's not my technique that's the issue, it's my strength. And a lot of people think strength is their biggest issue, and really, the tighter your technique is, the more efficient your movement can be, meaning then you can have a higher focus on strength. But for the most part, the majority of us just need to get better in the Olympic lifting movements, tighten the technique, because we've all got probably a decent amount of strength behind us. Look at your strength numbers, like your back squats, your deadlifts, etc., etc., probably a lot higher than what you can snatch and clean. Front squat is probably closer to your clean. As long as it's probably more than 10%, I think you'd be absolutely fine. Next question. My split jerk always feels unbalanced. I drift forward, my front leg takes nearly all of the weight, and I can never lock out overhead cleanly. Where do I even start when the jerk just feels wrong? So it feels unbalanced, you drift forward, my front foot takes nearly all of the weight. Okay, so I think I've spoke about this before, but with the jerk, think of the front foot as the brake, your back foot is the anchor. It's going to actually sink us into position. So if the anchor sinks us into position, as we dip and jump in the jerk, we want to think about kicking back and trying to get your back foot to contact the floor first, so we can contact, sink in, put the front foot down, put the brake on, hold us in position. If the front foot contacts the floor first, it doesn't matter what the anchor's doing. The movement's stopped. The weight has shifted forward, making it so much harder to then sit back onto that back leg. So your focus wants to be about making sure your back foot has contact with the floor first. Sit onto that back leg. As you jump, think about moving your back leg first. By just shifting that focus to back leg, you'll probably find that you'll find a better position. I don't necessarily want to try and overcomplicate it by giving you cues, drills and tips and and baffling you. Just start by thinking about moving your back leg first. See how that works. If you're listening to this and you do that, fine. If it then still doesn't work and you find something else out, put another question into the podcast. I help you out. Yeah. Or if you want further help so I can actually see your lift, because I don't know who this is and I don't think I've ever seen your lift. It is every Friday inside the OPTILIFT Performance Lab. It was Thursday, but you're going to listen to this on a Sunday. So yeah, you're going to be behind. But every Friday inside the OPTILIFT Performance Lab, I run something called Technique Fridays or Friday Tip, whatever you want to call it. But basically you can give me, or you can send in videos of your lifts and I will analyse your lifts, giving you cues, drills and tips to actually help you improve the technique, maybe even strength. So you've actually got a focus point for the week ahead. So if you're not already in the group, get yourself in the group. It's in the caption below, and be around on a Friday. Put your videos in and I'll help you out. Question number 3. What does a proper peaking block actually look like in Olympic weightlifting? How do volume and intensity change in the 6 to 8 weeks before a competition? So, general rule of thumb, volume is going to start to come down, intensity is going to start to creep. Now, I don't think there's a general rule of thumb for a lot of people, or the peaking process is going to look different for a lot of people. The general rule of thumb, is that your volume is going to tank it, come right down, intensity is going to rise. You'll probably start doing a lot more singles than doubles and triples because you don't want to be fatigued, and you're going to start to work on clinical lifting. Now, some people might find that they're just hitting one to two sets at that higher weight and then a bunch of back off sets. Others might have a block of singles, for example, working around 90 to 95%. But within that block, you want to make sure that you are consistently lifting at that higher percentage. So I don't think there's a percentage that we've got to get to within that peaking block. Everyone's going to be slightly different. Everyone's consistency is going to be at a slightly different rate at that higher weight. But general rule of thumb, intensity is going to come down. We want to have exposure to 90-95% throughout that week, not every session, maybe once a week, with a bunch of slightly lighter submaximal work, maybe working on doubles, just making sure that strength is peaked. But the focus wants to now be clinical, and you're probably going to start to action a lot of those singles very much like how you're going to want to be at a competition. Giving yourself 2 minutes, putting the timer on, making sure you're lifting within that 2 minutes. You're making sure as you stand up, you're waiting, your arms are locked out. You almost imagining there's a person giving you the down signal so then you can drop the bar to make sure you are lifting to competition standard, priming you for a competition. Question number 4. I've been lifting for 2 years. My total has moved less than 10 kilos in that last year. I'm starting to genuinely question whether I have the natural ability for this sport. What would you say to someone at that point? So 2 years is you're not going to have newbie gains anymore. Okay, progress is going to slow down, and if you're not watching this, I am emphasizing slowing down or progress is going to slow down because the weight on the bar is going to start to be less. But your focus point wants to then start to shift to, right, is my technique looking better? Video versus video, am I moving better? Okay? Because you're going to probably start to see that you're adding 2 to 3 kilos on your lift rather than 10 kilos. But my total has moved less than 10 kilos. 10 kilos is still quite a lot of weight in the grand scheme of things within I suppose within 2 years, that's 5 kilos a year. Okay. It's not a lot. But the biggest thing to then start to think about is what's training like? Are you focusing on your weaknesses? How are you programming? Are you finding that your program is just full of loads of things where you're just chucking shit at the wall hoping something sticks? Or have you got a clear have you clearly identified the areas that you need to work on? That's the first thing. If you've done that, okay. Have you then looked at improving your strength numbers? Where are your strength numbers in comparison to your Olympic lifts? Yeah, what's your pulling strength like? Do you need to improve your pulling strength? Have you looked at potentially implementing some plyometrics? Are you quite a springy athlete or not? Maybe it's just that you need to have less of a focus on the Olympic lifts and need more of a focus on becoming a general athlete, improving strength, improving power, plyometric, before then bringing back the focus on the Olympic lifts and seeing whether being more athletic, being more of an athlete is actually what you need. So, I don't know. I think we can go down a rabbit hole with this and give you loads of different areas to sort of work on. But 2 years is still relatively new to the sport, I'd say. You're not a newbie beginner, but you'll probably find that your focus needs to be shifted inwards, and you need to slow down the rush of trying to get to an end point, okay? Another thing to think about is your program tailored to what is happening within your lifestyle. Are you busy at work, stressed at work, got a lot going on? Is your program complementing that, or is it literally butting heads with that? There's loads of things to think about there, but the biggest thing is forget about the weight and look at other areas to assess improvement, because you've probably improved in other areas and it's just not replicated to weight on the bar. Okay, next question. I keep getting red lighted in competitions for pressing out in the snatch, but I never seem to press out in training. Why does this happen specifically under competition conditions? Wow. Under pressure, rushing the lift, getting sidetracked with just attacking that bottom position and then forgetting about how you actually lift in training? Or are you not being very critical on yourself in training? Again, I think it's a very open-ended question, and we can look at it from two different angles. Are you actually making sure that your lifting in training is clinical? You are making sure that you are fully locking out, videoing yourself on the front, almost being like a judge and assessing that lift. If you are and you're truly not locking out in a competition, but you do every single time in training, it's probably a thing of you're rushing the lift, you're finding that you're rushing the lift, that bottom position now feels different, and then that's causing that press out. That's probably the biggest thing that I would say it is. So, next question. I currently train Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. My coach wants me to add a 4th session on Friday. How do I structure the week so Saturday is still a quality training day and not all accumulated fatigue? So Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. So Friday, you've got a rest day between Monday, Wednesday, 2 days between Wednesday, Saturday. I'm assuming your Saturday is going to be the biggest session. Your Friday session probably wants to be technique work. 10 to 15% less than what you're going to be doing on that Saturday session. 5 to 10% less than your Monday and Wednesday session. So you are literally just refining movements. Probably won't be doing any squats or any sort of presses. Mainly keeping it to the Olympic lifts just so you don't fatigue your static strength. So your legs still feel relatively fresh for a Friday, but I'd keep that session short. Maybe work on accessories, plyometrics, very light technical work on the snatches and clean and jerks. That's how I would look at doing that. In the week before a competition, I feel increasingly anxious and irritable. It's affecting my sleep and training quality. Is this just nerves, or is it something going wrong with my preparation? No, it's probably just nerves, but the thing then that starts to ruin your preparation for the competition is allowing this anxiousness to then start to take over your preparation. So things that I would look at doing here is visualization, visualizing literally every single aspect, every single attempt of how it's going to go, how it's going to feel, how that bar is going to move in every single attempt on that competition platform. And visualizing success and the weight that's added onto the bar. And trying to really hone in on the intricacies. I am going to lift, there's going to be 36 seconds on the bar. That bar is going to feel heavy, but I'm going to be really confident. That hook grip is feeling strong, but the weight is off that midfoot. I get to my hips, it's feeling explosive. Drop into that bottom position, fully locked out, feeling nice and stable. I drive out hard. And I want to go through all of these details. I'm closing my eyes to almost feel like I'm at that competition. I open my eyes, I'm sat at home. I'd really look here at visualization. I think it's probably one of the biggest things, especially for a strength sport like this, where you've got 3 attempts. Consistency, efficiency is everything, and it is affected massively by the mindset, or the mindset, the way that you go into that session. Yeah, that's what I would look at doing. Next question. I bombed out on clean and jerk at my last competition. Bloody hell, all these questions are about competitions. Damn. Missed all 3. Training has been fine since, but I'm genuinely dreading competing again. How do you rebuild confidence after bombing out? So, firstly, why were you bombing out? What was the reason you were bombing out? Was it down to a specific thing? If it's down to a specific thing, you want to make sure that your whole training focus, or your whole training cycle, is focused on that one goddamn thing. If it's the lock out of the jerk, look at the technique. What was causing you to not lock out on that jerk? Was the back leg straight? Were you sitting too far forwards? Find out what went wrong and flipping it. Absolutely nail that day in, day out, every single session. So your confidence builds because you know it's never going to affect you again. If you bomb out because of said issue, but you don't focus on said issue, your confidence is always going to be subpar because you know that this is in the back of your head. But if you know that this one area tripped me up in my last competition, but there's no way in hell it's going to happen again because I focused so hard on fixing that one goddamn thing in my training cycle, I'm now fully buzzing. I'm buzzing to show those reps or those referees that what they failed me on last time ain't going to happen this time. That's literally what I've done with one of my athletes, Rachel. Competed one of her first competitions. She got done for lockout in the snatch and lockout in the jerk. Luckily, we managed to hit 1 and 1 or 2 and 1, whatever it was. Our next cycle was like, right, lockout is going to be flipping pinpoint perfect. They are never going to fail you a rep because of your lockout. Next competition, 6 for 6. Because we made sure that we didn't even worry about strength or going for heavier lifts. We did go for heavier lifts at the competition, but we made sure that the lockout was never going to be a question again. That's what you want to do. Final question. Man, this has been quite a short one. That's a shame. I saw on your Instagram that OPTILIFT is doing something called the Bullring Bull Challenge on August the 1st. Can you explain what it is, how you worked out how heavy the bull is, and whether people outside the club can come and support on the day? So, let's do this in reverse. Can people come and support us on the day? Absolutely. We've got a cake sale going on, we've got a raffle for a gym kit bag, and there's loads of stuff inside a Built for Athletes bag that's probably worth over £300 with everything in it, maybe even more because the bag's like 120 quid. That's up for a raffle. You buy raffle tickets, you can watch us lift. Yeah, there's going to be loads going on. We've got an artist coming down. Yeah, flipping heck, it's going to be such an awesome day. August the 1st, we start at 9 a.m. and we'll go until everyone's lifted. It won't go on more than 12 hours. Next question. Have you worked out how heavy how you worked out how heavy the bull is? Right, I went on to Google and asked Google. It told me it was 6.5 tonne. I then went on to the Bullring website and found out that it was 6.5 tonne, so it wasn't lying to me. 6.5 tonne is a lot of weight. People inside the OPTILIFT Performance Lab, people that I train, are doing it. People outside that I don't train, that are up for a challenge, are free to come down. It's £20 into the fundraiser, and they can take part. Yeah, as many people, the better. You can do it as an individual, so you've got 6.5 tonne to lift on your own, which is 6,500 kilos, or if you wanted to split the load between two of you, that is absolutely fine as well. The way that the competition is going to, or the way that the day is going to work, we're going to break it down into 30-minute intervals. 30-minute snatch EMOM, one snatch every minute on the minute for 30 minutes, 30-minute break before you do then the clean and jerks. 30-minute clean and jerk EMOM, before then 30-minute break, and then go back to the snatches. The reason why we've done that is otherwise you're going to be absolutely fully fucked if you just did snatches and clean and jerks until you died. You probably won't get 6.5 tonne. A lot of rest so we can refuel, making sure that quality stays the same throughout the whole challenge. So you can do it on your own, or you can do it as a pair and split the 6.5 tonne. There'll be 2 waves, so wave 1 will go for the first 30 minutes, wave 2 will the second 30 minutes, then the first 30 minutes, the first wave will come back out. You choose whatever weight that you want to put on the bar weight stays the same for that EMOM. A lot of people are lifting between 55 and 65 of their 1 rep max just because they know that it's the weight that they can do all the time. So when you've got a 30-minute EMOM, the 30-minute EMOM doesn't sound as daunting anymore. Yeah, so if you don't know, I've decided to put together this fundraiser to raise money for the club. We're looking to raise £4,000, which is a lot of money. I get that. We've already raised just shy of £400, which is brilliant. We're nearly at 10%, and there's a lot of things going on in the background. So I am confident that we're gonna raise a hell of a lot of money. And all of this money is going straight back into the club to buy equipment, because the bigger journey of this is actually then to start taking this equipment into schools and start broadcasting, showcasing the Olympic lifting movements to children, to secondary school and even colleges, because then we want to set up a youth weightlifting club in Birmingham. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I know a lot of people that have struggled with mental health, and I want to help those people improve their mental strength. And again, I've worked with mental health nurses, and training is very similar to improving mental health. You expose yourself to what you can manage, and over time you just look to try and push that boundary a little bit more. And I feel really passionate that training can massively improve your mental health. So the money that we get gifted or granted to us inside the OPTILIFT Performance Lab is going to then help people with mental health issues that potentially haven't got the money to access coaching, and they will then get it subsidised so we can actually help them improve their Olympic lifts, teach them a new skill, and get them in a community of people that is only going to improve their morale. And then thirdly, the last area that I really want to touch in on is the fact that coaching is, there's loads of courses that you need to do to actually get into coaching, and it's expensive. You're probably looking to spend about £5,000, £6,000 just to get you to a point that you can go into a gym and start coaching. And I did that when I first learned. I got myself into debt to pay for my level 2 fitness gym instructing, my level 3 PT, and then went and took out a loan to actually then do my British weightlifting qualifications, which is fine. Like, you know, I knew I wanted to do it. Some people aren't as lucky as that. Some people won't have the options to take out loans. They you know, whatever the reason is. And I want to help out those people. I want to people where I was 15 years ago, wanting to do this but going, shit, I'm going to get myself into debt. Is this going to work out? And I want to give them a lifeline. I want to go, right, I'm going to help you. The club is going to pay for your courses. We're going to give you a job at the end of it, and we're going to make you become an awesome coach. Getting people coaching this sport is going to help this sport grow. And for me to help out other coaches or people that want to start their coaching journey is going to be massive for me. I'm really, really looking forward to that. So there's 3 different avenues that we're looking to attack, and with 3 of those avenues, equipment is the biggest thing that we need. And by doing this fundraiser, bringing in money, is going to get that ball rolling. Yeah, so I've added in the GoFundMe link below. Any donation is absolutely well and truly, we are grateful for. Yeah, that's the end of it. Just stay tuned on Instagram, coach.oates, OPTILIFT Performance Lab. Just see follow us over these next few months and see what we achieve. But yes, that is the end of episode 33 of the Snatch Chat Podcast. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. You've taken a few things away. There was a lot about competitions there. Maybe competitions are something that you're looking to potentially get into. And if you are, over the next few months, I am putting together a competition resource that's going to go into the school community. It's going to be, again, totally free. It's going to show you how competitions work, everything that you need to know about a competition. And then in September, we're going to put on a workshop. And in that workshop, we're going to run through everything in that resource. And I'm going to try and help as many people as I can understand, learn how a competition works, because then later in the year, we're going to host a competition down in Digbeth where the people that have been at the workshop are going to get into their first competition, have the confidence behind them that they know what they're going to do, and they follow the program to actually get them the results that they are looking for. So everything's coming together. I am bloody buzzing to just absolutely smash out the next 5 months of 2026. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. You've taken bits away. I shall see you in the next episode. Ciao.